Hey everyone, welcome to class. Today's flow is posed with a purpose, this time focusing on forward folds. I don't know why, but I love teaching forward folds because I think the anatomy is super interesting. So this is really good for those of you who feel like your forward folds aren't really doing much or you don't really feel much. And if you do, maybe it's in your back or your neck. So this is how to kind of shift your focus into the pelvis and the hips and really get all that you're supposed to get out of forward folds. You don't need any special props, and whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and start standing up, and we're gonna work standing forward fold first because I think this is one that kind of gets a lot of us, and then we'll move into how it translates into seated forward fold as well. So with forward folds, I think one of the biggest things to tackle first is how you actually get down to touch your toes. So I think we kind of start a lot of times with that intention where I want to be able to touch my toes, and when we want to be able to touch our toes, we would end up folding like this probably, which I mean, you probably aren't going to hurt yourself, but this isn't exactly the most efficient way to move your body because you end up putting a lot of load on the joints, the spine especially, and even the hips depending on if you have weak points there. So the biggest thing that you want to do is make sure that you're not folding from your spine, but you're actually folding from the pelvis. So the pelvic tilt is what allows you to move down while keeping the spine straight, and the hamstrings actually working and using them for their intended purpose here. So instead of folding straight down and folding from your belly, you're not folding from your belly, you're folding from this crease in the hip. So if you bring your knee up, you notice where that crease is, that's where you're moving from. So keep a soft bend in the knees and kind of point your tailbone back. So imagine moving the leg in towards you. That's where you're moving from. So belly is pulled in, spine is nice and long, point the hips back, and you start to fold. So you're reaching the chest out first. It goes out, it goes out, it goes out. And then gradually, as the hamstrings give, as the hamstrings loosen and allow you more slack, you can start to fold straight down. Now notice that the spine doesn't stay 100% in a perfectly straight line because while we want to keep length in the spine, it will be moving. It does bend. So having some natural curve in the spine is totally okay, but as long as you're folding from here, not from here. So if you hit the hips back, we'll come all the way down, as far down as you can comfortably go. This way, wherever your hands end up doesn't matter. This way, as you fold, you're working the backs of the legs, so the weight is in the heels a little bit. You're using the calves, which are stretching. Your hamstrings are probably super stretching. And the back is pretty much pressureless. So this way as well, the neck isn't as bothered. The neck is pretty free. You can shake the head yes and no. And that makes a huge difference as compared to folding from your stomach and moving here, because here the shoulders slouch up, they cram into the neck, and you end up hurting the muscles that actually support the spine. So you never want to do that. Let's move to seated forward fold, and it's a little bit different, but very similar foundation. So you'll notice that you're actually kind of already in, like if you were standing up, you'd be in flat back from here already. So with the feet about hip width apart, I think that's easiest. You can flex the feet just so that you already give that length in the legs a bit of a head start. And for a seated forward fold, I like to kind of move the soft parts out from underneath me because it allows my pelvis to really ground. So that way, if you move your butt cheeks out from underneath you, the hip bones kind of go straight into your mat, and that helps you with staying still and staying grounded. So flexing the feet so they come back towards you, you're going to start to walk the hands forward. So if you walk the hands forward after you've moved the flesh out from underneath you, it helps you with just starting your fold a little bit more safely. Again, you're not folding from the stomach, so this is never a shape that you want to be taking. Similarly to doing a standing forward fold, this shape is going to jack the shoulders up towards the ears and into the neck. You end up getting little kinks in the neck and your head starts to hurt. It's just not a good place to be. So keeping the length in the spine, you lead with the chest, lead with the chest. The chest, the sternum, is what is going to point you in the right direction. So chest moves towards the feet, and then it's up to you where your stopping point is from there. So if this is where it is, but your form is good, you're getting more benefit here than you are here, even if you can reach further technically. So always lead with the chest. The hips, the pelvis tilts back. You walk the upper body forward. And same as when we're in our standing forward fold, the spine will eventually start to curve naturally. But I think as long as you're feeling that lengthening through the hamstrings and possibly into the calves, that's a good gauge a good gauge for whether or not you're on the right track with your alignment. So look for a stretch in the hamstrings. Make sure the shoulders are down, the neck is long, and the chest is what's leading you. So you're not trying to get your head anywhere or your nose anywhere. Think of bringing the chest towards the toes. Seated forward fold. So let's do a seated wide forward fold because wide forward folds are a little bit different. So in a seated wide forward fold, the very first thing I want you to look for is, can I sit up tall? If the answer is no, then you need to walk your feet in closer. So bring your feet as close together as you need to have them in order to be able to sit up and feel like you can just sit here. The second thing I want you to look for is where the knees and the toes face. So especially as soon as we come here, we want to like walk straight out and just kind of dump the upper body forward. But if we do that, the knees and the toes start to come in. And if you force that shape, it hurts, right? So like you feel it in the hip, your knees start to feel funky. So already you know that clues you into make sure the knees and toes don't dip in. You want to make sure the knees and toes face up at all times. So they face the ceiling. So even as you tilt forward, again, you're tilting from the pelvis, not just bending in half and trying to reach forward. Bending in half, reaching forward will always bother the neck and will not be good for the spine in these forward folds. So knees and toes face up, and then you would reach with in the same direction as you did the other forward folds. So the chest is what guides you. Keep lifted, and then the sternum is going to reach forward. It reaches out, 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 and then when you can't come out anymore, the hands would come down or the forearms would come down. In your wide forward folds, your spine is probably going to be longer and straighter than in your seated regular or standing regular forward folds and seated regular forward folds. And that's fine, just because the angle that you're moving is a little bit different. So from here, again, you're probably going to be feeling it in the hamstrings and the groin. So to clue you in as to whether or not, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Look for where you're feeling it. If you're feeling it in your knees, bring the legs in a little closer, make sure they're facing up. If you're feeling it in your back, make sure your feet aren't too wide, bring them in a little closer. And otherwise, you should be pretty good. Wide forward folds are more forgiving than the traditional version. So as you're forward folding from here, make sure that you're not dropping the head and looking down. You want to have one straight line from like the tailbone all the way out through the crown of the head. So you want to be thinking that if you were to drive a little Mack, what are those called? Mack trucks? The little tiny cars? I grew up with a sister, so if you could drive that little truck all the way up your back, it would be able to go straight off the top of your head. It wouldn't just fall straight down. So keep a nice long line there. These forward folds are really great for the hips, for the hamstrings, for releasing pressure in the neck and in the back. And when you're doing them safely, they can advance your practice really, really well. So that is your forward fold. So there you have it, your forward fold pose with a purpose episode. I really hope that this was helpful. Let me know in the comments what was kind of an aha moment for you if you had any, and what poses you want to see me break down next. Also be sure that you're signed up for the Bad Yogi Club, which is where you're going to get all these exclusive classes, plus Q&As and lots of other fun stuff that I can only talk about in email. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you right back here next week. I know that we already finished class, but I want you to take a second and go on a little mini journey with me. So close your eyes one more time. Now imagine that you're waking up in the morning just like you do on any other day, only this time you feel more balanced, stronger, and you can tell a real difference in your energy and how you carry yourself. You know that you're gonna work out and eat healthy today, but you actually get excited about and look forward to the workouts. You feel that way because now you're using motivators other than the scale, and because there's a whole community right there with you, cheering you on, discussing poses, and just being generally positive and motivational. You feel that way today because you feel like you're about to start the best day of your life. You're about to start over from the inside out with self-acceptance and self-love. Today, you decided to join a community of like-minded people and feel motivated and inspired every single day. And for the first time, you're not making excuses of why I don't have time to work out, because after each workout, you feel amazing, happy, and energized. Now, open your eyes. If this sounds like the kind of day that you want to live and the kind of feeling you want to wake up with, then I highly encourage you to check out my new program, the Perfect Body Yoga Program. This is the first fitness program that doesn't just focus on a six-pack abs or getting a bikini body. This whole concept operates on the belief that the perfect body is simply the healthiest version of the body you already have. But don't just take my word for it. I actually created that entire visualization from comments from users just like you who've been experiencing firsthand the effortless change in lifestyle that this program has created for them. But anyway, I won't say anything more about it than that. I'll just leave you with this last comment that I think is my favorite from a PBYP member that I think you're gonna love. She said, "Every day, I cannot wait to do the next class. I can honestly say I have never made this kind of commitment ever. I want to do it. I can see me doing this program over and over again." That's kind of a drop the mic moment in my book. And I know that when the change happens from the inside, you know it's a lifelong shift. So do yourself a favor and check out more via the link below, and I will see you on the inside. Hey guys, be sure to click below to find out more about the Perfect Body Yoga Program. Now, if you want to see what other people just like you are saying about their experience with the program, go ahead and hit pause at any point on this screen to read the reviews a little bit more. I hope to see you on the inside, but either way, I'll see you next Monday for class.